Today, I'm going to be ranking every single WWE champion in history, and we're going to be ranking them from GOAT status all the way down to absolutely terrible. And of course, as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to turn on notifications, because if you're a wrestling fan, this is the channel for you. You already found the best wrestling channel there could possibly be, so don't forget to subscribe. But that's enough. Let's jump into things, baby. Okay, as you can see here, I've got some tiers already. So I've got absolute GOAT status, great, good, okay, bad, terrible. But then I also already went ahead and created a category called Too Vintage, where we have WWE superstars in the 70s and 60s that I can't genuinely provide any decent commentary on because I don't really know too much about them. And that includes superstar Billy Graham, Bob Backlund, Bruno Sammartino, Stan Stasiak, Buddy Rogers, Pedro Morales, and Ivan Koloff. And because I don't want to disrespect them and put them into categories that I genuinely can't justify, I'm just going to go ahead and separate them and put them in the vintage category. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's start with the ones that I do know that I can provide some proper commentary on. And let's go ahead and start with the animal, Batista. And you know, you might be thinking, oh, you got to put that in the great or GOAT status, but Batista is mostly known for his World Heavyweight Championship runs. His WWE title runs weren't actually that great, and it took him a while to win one. I don't think he won one until like about 2009. That being said, he wasn't a bad WWE champion. He was okay. He had some decent matches here or there, but I'm going to go ahead and put the Animal Batista in the okay category. Next, we've got The Big Show, and The Big Show hasn't really had the greatest WWE championship runs. I would say his best one is 2002 after defeating Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series, but even that run only lasted like 2 months. It wasn't good. He barely really had any meaningful title defenses. So I'm going to go ahead and put Big Show's run as terrible, honestly. But he's not going to be alone there for very long, because the next one up is Alberto Del Rio. And Alberto Del Rio just really was never able to make that WWE championship feel special. It never felt special with him. So I'm going to go ahead and put Alberto Del Rio in the terrible category. Also, he robbed us of the Summer of Punk, so I'll never forgive him for that. But let's go back to more joyous occasions. Let's talk about AJ Styles, because AJ Styles during that SmackDown Live era had a phenomenal, okay, not quite a phenomenal championship run. It was good. It's definitely better than Batista. So I'm going to go ahead and put AJ Styles as a good WWE champion. Next, we've got Andre the Giant, and this might just be blasphemy. This might just send me to wrestling hell, but Andre the Giant falls under terrible. He only held the championship for 1 day. And immediately, well, actually less than a day, he won it and then immediately gave it to Ted DiBiase. So it's tough to even recognize as a proper championship reign. But hey, in the books, Andre the Giant is a WWE champion, but we're going to toss him in the terrible category. Next, we have Bray Wyatt, the Eater of Worlds. Oh, what could have been after he won the WWE Championship in the Elimination Chamber. But this run, no fault of his own, he wasn't booked very well. So sadly, our friend Bray Wyatt is going to fall under the bad category. It just was not a championship run worth celebrating or really even talking about it. His run as a Universal Champion was better, even though he lost to Goldberg. But this WWE Championship run, it was a deserved win, but the run wasn't great. Let's go to a great WWE Champion, and that would be Bret Hart. I know. A lot of internet wrestling fans don't love Bret Hart these days, but it's hard to acknowledge his absolutely impressive run as WWE champion in the 90s, even though, you know, he had a couple of weird ones with like Hulk Hogan getting involved and shit like that. Either way, Bret Hart falls under the great category, and I will sit here and argue this until the end of time. As much as maybe we don't love Bret Hart these days, and as much as he doesn't love us, he was an great WWE champion. And let's go to another great WWE champion. I've got Brock Lesnar. Look, I know you're like, well, he's a part-timer. Let's forget about the part-time days and go back all the way to the Attitude, not the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era, where he was a phenomenal WWE champion, a fighting WWE champion that was there week in and week out, absolutely, just on the ruthless aggression era reigns that he had, he falls under the great category. Whether he was a heel or a face champion, he made it work, baby. Let's go to a not so great WWE champion, and that was Chris Jericho, the first ever undisputed champion. He did have a really great run as world heavyweight champion a few times, but his WWE championship reign, of course, ending pretty unceremoniously because the crowd was dead because of Rock versus Hogan, to Triple H at WrestleMania 18. But I'm going to go ahead and put him right next to Bray Wyatt and say that he was a bad WWE champion. Okay, let's move on to... Ooh, this is going to create some debate. Let's move on to CM Punk, because CM Punk had one of the most iconic WWE championship runs of all time, especially of the modern era. Sure, not as long as Roman Reigns' reign, but he has defended this title so many times on every pay-per-view on free television, and he held it for 434 days. Again, feel what you feel about CM Punk, but when he was WWE champion, dude, we might have to throw fists in the comments, but he was the GOAT. He was one of the GOATs as a WWE champion. And I think you're going to have a really tough time dispelling this, even if he rarely main evented as WWE champion. That was on WWE, not on CM Punk. They didn't trust him as WWE champion or as a draw, but he absolutely was. And he put on banger matches defending the title. I can immediately think of the Daniel Bryan matches, of course, the John Cena matches that he had. And he held that thing loud and proud and defended it everywhere that he went. So CM Punk as a WWE champion, to me, falls in the GOAT category. And next we have the tragic tale of Daniel Bryan. He could have been up there, man. He absolutely could have been up there. His first run, of course, cut short because of injury, but his second run as the Captain Planet gimmick was actually pretty awesome. He even had an absolute banger with Brock Lesnar, if you remember that, at Survivor Series in that champion versus champion match, and of course losing to Kofi Mania. This was that run was great. The Planet Saver, the Planet's champion. I'm gonna put him right next to AJ Styles. I think that feels like, I feel good about that, putting him in the good category. Next, we have Dean Ambrose, part of that, 2016 Cinderella run of new champions that we had because of the SmackDown, the land of opportunity, as they dubbed it. That being said, I'm going to put his championship reign in the okay category because it was fun, but it wasn't, I don't think it was as good as Daniel Bryan's or as AJ Styles, but it feels good it feels like the right spot to have him right next to Batista. Next, we have Diesel. Diesel honestly was kind of just a champion by de facto. There was really no one else to put the strap on back in 1995 or 94, whenever it was. Like the player pool was very dwindled and very low. I'm going to go ahead and put him in the bad category. I don't think he's quite terrible, but I'm going to put him in the bad category. Next, we've got Drew McIntyre. And my man, I'm going to go ahead and put Drew McIntyre as WWE champion is great. He was unfortunately a victim of having no fans during his WWE championship run. All he had was a bunch of TV screens, and he won it in front of literally nobody at WrestleMania 36. But he was the flag bearer for the WWE throughout the entirety of the pandemic run, and I want to make sure that I acknowledge his fantastic work as WWE champion when we needed that. We really needed somebody to carry the flag and carry that title and be a fighting champion for us when, the world was in the absolute shitter. Next, let's go to Eddie Guerrero. As a champion, when he won the championship, let's say, it was super heartwarming. It was a moment that so many fans had been clamoring for and waiting for. But as WWE champion, aside from his Kurt Angle feud, he didn't really do too much that's really going to stand out or put him in anything really above okay. It feels blasphemous to put Eddie Guerrero in anything as just okay. But if you go back and look at the matches that he had, the people that he defended it against, it's not this, jaw-dropping list of names that will put him anywhere above okay. So I feel comfortable putting him in okay. Next, we've got Edge. Definitely a more iconic world heavyweight champion, similar to Batista. If we were doing world heavyweight championships, he would probably be in the GOAT category. But we're talking about him as a WWE champion. And he was all right. Like I think his character was more over than anything. But the thing is he was in the era of John Cena, when if you weren't named John Cena, you weren't holding the title for very long. His reigns as WWE champion were always very, very short. I mean, even his very first one, after shocking the world and cashing in the Money in the Bank, like barely lasted any really significant amount of time. But who can forget that awesome rated R celebration? I'm going to go ahead and put Edge right next to that category. This is turning into a Mount Rushmore of okay. Batista, Dean Ambrose, Eddie Guerrero, and Edge. Again, if this was World Heavyweight Championship, we'd be having a different discussion. But next, let's go ahead and do Hulk Hogan. And again, I think maybe a similar discussion to Bret Hart. You may not love him, but dude, he's a GOAT WWE champion. We can't really sit here and say anything otherwise. He even came back in 2002 and won the damn thing again after being in WCW for most of the decade. So, and of course, he carried that title and carried the company really throughout the 80s and the early 90s. There is no debate. There's no debate. We're not talking human character here. We're just talking him as a WWE champion, that Hulk Hogan is one of the GOATs. And next, we've got the most popular person in 2008 whose name was not Barack Obama, and that was Jeff Hardy. And this, my man, like Jeff Hardy was so over with the fans, and this was such an overdue championship run. And he had a great run as a WWE champion, and I'm going to go ahead and put him just above okay, right next to AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan in the good category. And woohoo, strap in, fellas, because next we've got Don't Hinder My Gender. Oh, this was so controversial. What I will say is that his title run was really on brand with what SmackDown was trying to do then, which was the land of opportunity. But he won every single match really by cheating the Singh brothers. Oh my God, it's starting to sound a lot like Roman Reigns' current run as world champion. I know people didn't love this decision. They felt like it was pandering to the Indian audience, even though he's not even Indian, he's from Canada. But it was a long run. It was not an insignificant run. I wouldn't put this in terrible. Really, I don't even think I'd put this in bad, because he actually defended the title on a regular basis. So, you're gonna chew me out for putting Bray Wyatt in bad and Jinder Mahal in okay. I'm not saying he was the right choice to put the strap on him, but when they put the strap on him, he did the job. He defended as often as he was asked to defend. So, as far as I'm concerned, as a WWE champion, he's okay in my book. Let's go to JBL. And he had one run as WWE champion, and what an unforgettable run that was. I'm going to go ahead and put JBL. I'm so close to putting him in great. I really, really am very close to putting him in the great. I want the longest reigning WWE champion in SmackDown history, back when the brand split was really a thing. I'm really debating between great and good here. He just kept getting away in the most heelish of ways. Like, he won a cage match by getting chokeslammed through the ring and then crawling under the ring. Dude, I don't care. This might start a fight. This might start a debate. JBL's run as WWE champion was great. He was a great WWE champion. All right, we're back in the conversation of GOATs, and I don't think any of you guys are going to argue this. Not just the GOAT, but the greatest WWE champion of all time, the most WWE championship victories of all time. It's John Cena. Like, come on. Like, I don't need to spend, I know I'm decked out in John Cena gear, but I don't need to spend more than 30 seconds telling you that John Cena is the greatest WWE champion of all time. Aside from holding so many titles, he had so many iconic and legendary runs as WWE champion, so many WrestleMania matches where he won or defended the WWE championship. John Cena is the GOAT. Like, he's the GOAT of GOATs when it comes to the title of WWE Champion. So I firmly put him in the GOAT category. Next, we've got Kane. Terrible. 1 day reign as WWE Champion. Similar to Andre the Giant. I don't think you're going to argue really against that. So I'll go ahead and toss Kane in terrible. Kofi Kingston was a great run, man. He was a great WWE Champion. A lot of fun matches. Obviously, the way that he won it was so heartwarming and iconic. In the way he lost it was iconic for different reasons. Of course, losing in 5 seconds to Brock Lesnar. But as a WWE champion, I got to have him above Jinder at least. But he was an okay WWE champion. Definitely him winning was the highlight of his entire championship run, which isn't the greatest thing to say about somebody, but still an okay WWE champion. Kurt Angle goes into the great category, and I don't need to spend too much time on there. His championship run in the Ruthless Aggression era, far more iconic and legendary than his run in the Attitude Era. Immediately thinking, that feud with Brock Lesnar was so absolutely legendary. He was a great WWE champion. Put his body on the line too, like crazy. I mean, speaking of putting your body on the line, we got Mick Foley next. And Mick Foley, he sentimental favorite for all of us. But let's take away those goggles, and he wasn't a great WWE champion. We loved seeing him win it, but aside from, the moment where he won it, I can't really justify him anywhere above the likes of Chris Jericho or Bray Wyatt. So I'm going to go ahead and put him in bad. This one really doesn't even really count. We got Vince McMahon next. Let's just go ahead and toss him into terrible. That's it. I don't think that needs too much of a discussion. Next, we've got the Viper, Randy Orton, and right back up to GOAT status. Randy Orton as WWE champion, maybe just below the likes of John Cena and Randy Orton, dude, especially 09 bald, sadistic, absolute menace Randy Orton. Randy Orton needs to be up here, absolutely. We got Macho Man Randy Savage as a WWE champion. He'll always just be remembered as second fiddle to the likes of Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior. But in terms of, his time as WWE champion, a lot of iconic moments that immediately are rushing through my memory. But nothing really that stands out aside from just an okay WWE champion. So next we've got Rey Mysterio. Terrible. Not his fault. He held it for less than an episode of Raw. He won it at the beginning of Raw and then lost it, 2 hours later to John Cena. Why even give him the title at that point? Come on. Why even give him the title? It was so dumb. He's really on this list out of technicalities. Ric Flair also falls in the okay category as a WWE champion. Let's not, we're not talking about big gold belt. If it was big gold, GOAT status number one, absolutely no ifs, ands, or buts. But his short time in the WWE in the 90s has him in the okay category for me. Next, we've got Rob Van Dam, and Rob Van Dam falls under the bad category. What could have been had he not smoked that ganja, man? He would have definitely been a likely contender for okay or good, but immediately pretty much being stripped of the WWE championship. Of course, he wasn't officially stripped for it, but with him getting hit with that wellness violation, he basically was stripped of it as he lost both of his titles, the ECW and the WWE championship, basically within a week. Next, we got Roman Reigns, and dude, GOAT status right away. Especially his current run has him in GOAT status. I'm not a huge fan of just the long reign. I like to see somebody that is a fighting champion, and we don't have that with Roman Reigns, but my God, his character as his absolute God mode persona just works so well with the concept of being a WWE champion. And we're still early on in his career, and I already believe that he is a GOAT WWE world champion. So I'm going to go ahead and toss him on there. Next, we've got Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins goes under great. Seth Rollins was on the run of his life as WWE champion, and only in 2015, and only lost it because of injury. So, but that run that he had, my goodness, absolutely iconic. Absolutely iconic. It's this dastardly heel who just kept getting away with it. Just absolutely kept getting away with it. So we're going to go ahead and put him in the great category. Next, we've got Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter also falls under the terrible category, especially the whole Iraqi sympathizer gimmick. Oof. Oh, man. Absolute tone-deaf Vince McMahon there. So terrible. Next, we've got Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, and he's like right beside our friend Bret Hart there. I'd put him above Bret Hart as WWE champion. Didn't win the title ever in the 2000s. All WWE championship runs that Shawn Michaels had were in the 90s, and that's enough. That's all we needed from Shawn Michaels to put him in the great category. Had he had a couple more reigns, something more in the modern era as well, in the ruthless aggression era, he might be in the conversation for GOAT, but we're keeping him under great for now. Sheamus as WWE champion, like all of his runs were just bad. I wouldn't say terrible, but I think bad's a good place to put him, especially that one run where he cashed in Money in the Bank on Roman Reigns. Just like nobody wanted to see that. So bad. Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't think any of you guys are going to argue here that he falls under the GOAT category. Numerous WrestleMania main events with the WWE Championship, either either defending it or trying to win it, of course. So he falls under the GOAT category for me. No ifs, ands, or buts. Sid Vicious falls in the same category as Diesel for me. Just a champion that's just kind of there by de facto because there's nobody else to put the strap on. So put the strap on them, not put the strap on. That's a very different thing that we're talking about. So Sid falls in the bad category. Sheiky baby goes under terrible. We love Sheiky, but he held that title for like a week before Hulk Hogan came in and took that off of him after he beat Bob Backlund. But Sheiky baby to me is like the first the first WWE superstar that I've seen enough documentaries and footage of him as WWE champion that I felt comfortable not putting him in the vintage category. So that's kind of where everything starts for me in terms of when I'm thinking of grading WWE champions. It starts with Sheiky baby. Next, we've got The Miz, and The Miz's run is, I think it's fairly divisive. Obviously his second run where he lost it to Bobby Lashley was pathetic, and we don't really count that. But that first run, like if you think about it, was pretty dog shit. Aside, like he defended it against Randy, sort of, and then he defended it against Jerry the King Lawler, and then of course John Cena in the double count out, and then The Rock interfering, and then immediately losing it at Extreme Rules to John Cena, and then he never sniffed the WWE Championship ever again. I'm going to go ahead and put him in the bad category. The Rock as WWE Champion goes in GOAT again. Honestly, everything that I said for Stone Cold Steve Austin, put it also just repeat and give it to The Rock, because their careers were just so intertwined. You got to have them together. They're both GOATs. It's kind of crazy that the Attitude Era had both of those guys. Insane. Next, we've got the Ultimate Warrior. As a WWE, I think he's a more iconic Intercontinental Champion, but as a WWE Champion, I mean, his win was legendary, right? Beating Hulk Hogan to have both the IC and WWE Championship belts. Crazy, absolutely crazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him like right next to Macho Man as well in that okay category. The Undertaker, oh man, as a WWE Champion, his best run as WWE Champion was probably maybe the American Badass run that he had as WWE Champion. That's kind of like the to me like his best run, but nothing really to drop our jaws over in terms of his time as WWE Champion. And of course in the 2000s, like in the Ruthless Aggression era, he was mostly in play for the World Heavyweight Championship. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him in okay. Triple H, oh man, again, if we're talking big gold, GOAT, absolute GOAT. As WWE Champion, like he's still creeping on GOAT category as well. Seriously, he really is creeping on GOAT category. Oh my goodness. Okay. Look, we can debate this in the comments. I don't think he quite gets to GOAT status. Big Goldie gets him in the GOAT status. I'm going to put him in the great category. If you put him in GOAT, I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't argue with you. For me, he falls under the great category. And then, of course, the legendary Yokozuna was a great WWE champion. I'm going to put him alongside the likes of AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan. Let me think. Let me think about this. Do I think he had a better run than... No, I wouldn't say that he had a better run than somebody like Batista. So I'm gonna keep him in the okay category. And that's it. We're done, folks. This is going to lead to a lot of debates, so please let me know what you think in the comments, all right? Well, that's it, folks. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Tier Lists. We'll do another one next week. Maybe let me know down in the comments what tier list you'd like me to do. But thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to leave this video a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel before you head out, and don't forget to check out my socials like Twitch, where I'm live 5 days a week doing wrestling content, Twitter, TikTok, everywhere. It's all in the description of this video. Thank you very much for watching this. Cheers and be good people.